While one was boasting to the whole world about the invincibility and power of his Black Sea fleet,
because there are currently no means to counteract such a weapon.
another was meticulously building up his Black Sea fleet. Turkey is indeed already building a greater number of military ships than all of Europe combined. For about 20 years, the Navy of the Middle Eastern country has been carrying out an extensive program of modernization and development of the national naval industry, which allows us to speak of real dominance in the Black Sea.
Let's not deceive ourselves. The Turkish fleet is several times more powerful than the Russian Black Sea fleet. Look at the statistics. Any hooray patriot who says, let's block this caravan of freedom, with what are you going to block it? Why are you lying to yourselves? The Turks own the Black Sea now. The Soviet Union has long been gone.
So, what kind of fleet does Ankara have? What can Putin oppose to Erdogan at sea? And most importantly, what role is assigned to Ukraine in the modern redistribution of the Black Sea maritime area? It is worth noting that since coming to power as Prime Minister in 2003 and then as President of the country in 2014, Erdogan has made the development of the Turkish defense industry a priority goal of his political activity. For the Turks, dominance at sea is a long-standing ambitious dream. The origin of the Ottoman fleet dates back to the 14th century. At one time, the Turkish fleet was one of the strongest in the Mediterranean and the absolute ruler over the Black Sea. It was only at the end of the 17th century that the Russian Black Sea fleet seized the initiative from Constantinople in the Black Sea. There were even times when there were no military ships in these waters at all. After the Crimean War, a law prohibited all Black Sea powers from having their fleets there, as well as naval arsenals and fortresses. Nevertheless, since the end of the 19th century, the arms race at sea between the Ottoman and Russian empires began again, continuing now between modern Russia and Turkey.
And this, in principle, corresponds to the type of political culture that we can observe in Turkey.
With the start of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine and the subsequent defeat of the Russian Black Sea Fleet by our defenders, it became clear to the whole world that Putin is no longer the master at sea.
If you calculate the displacement of the sunken and damaged warships, it turns out that the fleet has decreased by a third. This is a very significant figure. But among the damaged ships, there were those that have already been repaired, and others that will likely take many years to fix, or perhaps will never be repaired. But if you consider it appropriate to account only for the lost ships, their total displacement is 20% of the displacement of the warships in the Black Sea Fleet.
Meanwhile, Turkey was only expanding its naval forces. For example, January 2025 turned out to be quite dynamic for the Turkish fleet. At a press briefing held on January 2nd, Erdogan and his team announced the launch of destroyer projects, their own aircraft carrier and a national submarine. The Kremlin could only dream of such a scale of construction.
And this, such a candid admission of its own defeat in the Black Sea, where Russia always prided itself on its unsinkable flotilla, is one of the main outcomes of the Russian special military operation.
Even Russian propaganda with tears in their eyes admits the much vaunted Putin's Black Sea fleet is no match for modern Turkish ships. Just look at how the Moscow experts squirmed when the topic of the Turkish Navy came up.
The Turkish fleet consists of about 12 frigates, mostly of foreign production. But there are also their own Turkish frigates.
The command of the Turkish Navy includes 4 flotillas, combat, submarines, missile boats, and mine, as well as 2 operational groups, an auxiliary ships division, and a naval aviation air base also.
The Turkish Air Force is entirely equipped with foreign technology. These are primarily F-16 aircraft of various modifications. Well, there are many of them, about 400. The peculiarity of the Turkish Air Force lies in the fact that these F-16 fighters are optimized for air defense tasks.
The combat flotilla of Turkey is the main operational unit of the Navy. It is mainly intended for combating submarines, surface ships, and enemy naval landings. Additionally, as demonstrated by numerous Turkish military exercises, the fleet is used to support ground forces during operations in coastal directions, protect the coastline, and defend and cover strategic areas.
These are very large investments. We're talking about billions of dollars, and currently the target localization level is 90%. Right now we have reached and exceeded the 80% level, but our main goal remains achieving the 90% localization. And what does that mean? We are trying to make the maximum possible contribution from the local population.
The Turkish fleet includes, among other things, 4 Yavuz-class frigates, 2 Tepe-class frigates, and 4 Gabia and Barbaros-class frigates.
Turkey also has a large number of various boats, including anti-submarine and missile boats, predominantly of French manufacture. It should be noted that the Turkish fleet is balanced and quite accurately meets the requirements set for naval forces operating in enclosed maritime theaters of military operations, such as the Black Sea.
Turkey's dominance in the Black Sea is reinforced by its submarine fleet. The latter consists of at least 13 units, 6 modern submarines and 7 upgraded ones. And almost every month the number of Turkish military vessels increases. The country is already building more warships than the entire rest of Europe combined. Each vessel launched represents a significant achievement for the Turkish shipbuilding industry, which aims to become increasingly self-sufficient, analysts explain.
Currently, America cannot produce as many ships as we do. They produce very specialized ships, such as nuclear submarines, very large, ambitious ships, nuclear aircraft carriers. But if you look, America still hasn't managed to establish the production of frigates like we have. The first frigate was supposed to be commissioned to us 2 years ago, but its construction is still not completed. In some aspects, honestly, we are even in a better position than America.
However, Turkey does not intend to compete with the United States in an arms race. Both countries are the main military power of NATO and work together at sea. This allows Turkey to dictate its own rules to the Kremlin. For example, Erdogan once closed off Putin's ability to transfer additional ships to the Black Sea. Additionally, Turkey, which controls the Bosphorus, did not allow Bunker to remove the remnants of its fleet, which had been hit by Ukrainian drones and missiles. As a result, this cost the Black Sea Fleet 28 ships and boats, as well as submarines.
In the Black Sea, Turkey has the right to block the passage of military vessels from countries that are either involved in a military conflict or are not Black Sea basin states. Since 2022, Russian military ships have not been allowed to enter the Black Sea waters.
As for Ukraine, Turkey has never had any questions about whose Crimea is, nor any doubts that it was Putin who started the war with us. Moreover, Ankara does not even hide that in the post-war world, it will share dominance in the Black Sea with Ukraine. Even more, Turkey is already building a new fleet. The first Ukrainian corvette is already undergoing trials in the Black Sea. Off the coast of Turkey, engineers and military personnel are testing the future flagship of our fleet, Hetman Ivan Mazepa.
The corvette is designed for anti-submarine warfare, searching for and destroying enemy submarines. This is its main task. This is in line with what is required of it, for example, by NATO standards.
In return, Ukrainian engineers are sharing their developments with Turkish colleagues in the field of unmanned sea drones, the most advanced weaponry today.
Our main goal is the steps towards becoming a naval fleet. We have already been working in this direction, but now, thanks to updated projects, we have a Turkish fleet that can operate in the ocean and beyond. We will start considering it as a fleet that can intervene in problem solving. Secondly, unmanned naval vehicles are a separate strategy for protecting the near sea using unmanned sea vehicles, especially since our unmanned sea vehicles belong to the small class.
Turkey, together with Ukraine, wants to build such a fleet in the Black Sea, free from the presence of Russian ships. Did you like this video? Then don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to our new Arsenal channel. The link is in the description below the video.